Recently, a viewer sent me an email with a video link and asked for my analysis. The video features a testimony by a man named Santosh Acharji, a former Hindu who converted to Christianity. Santosh was born into a conservative Hindu priestly family in India. His father was a highly respected Sanskrit scholar. Later, while living in the United States, Santosh suffered a severe medical crisis and claims he had a near-death experience. During this event, he says he saw visions of heaven, Jesus, and the lake of fire. Following this, he converted to Christianity, joined a church, and authored books about his encounter. Today, Christian groups widely promote his testimony as definite propaganda, presenting it as absolute proof that Christianity is one true faith. But does this case actually prove anything? When you closely examine these near-death testimonies, known as NDE, you quickly realize they are not supernatural revelations, but highly deceptive and reconstructed accounts. Let's look at what the actual science and logic tell us. Science debunks NDEs. First of all, does science validate these near-death experiences as genuine encounters with a supernatural realm? Absolutely not. Modern neuroscience and psychology explain near-death experiences as well-documented biological responses to extreme trauma, oxygen deprivation, and massive chemical shifts during critical illness. The visions of blinding lights, dark tunnels, or divine figures are the predictable products of a dying brain's chemistry, not evidence of the spiritual world. Science completely dismisses the idea that the soul is leaving the body. The brain is simply misfiring under stress. But the problem is not just the biological hallucination itself. It is how that hallucination changes over time. Exaggeration and memory distortion. NDE testimonies grow more dramatic and structured over time. In Santosh's case, he doesn't just say he saw a divine presence. He provides exact architectural measurements and physical proportions year after the fact. He claims he stood on a platform precisely about 1,000 feet long and 250 feet wide, and that Jesus appeared as a literal giant towering up to 70 feet tall compared to his own 5'6" frame. He describes mansions, gates, and the exact positioning of a throne. These kinds of hyper-specific details sound theatrical and rehearsed. Furthermore, Santosh later published and marketed books based on this story, which introduces a heavy commercial incentive to embellish the narrative for an eager audience. This commercial interest aligns perfectly with the agendas of the religious organizations that broadcast these stories. Manipulation by conversion groups. Testimonies like this are aggressively weaponized by Christian ministries as psychological conversion tools. The narrative uses an emotional one-two punch. First, intense fear via the threat of a burning lake of fire, followed immediately by overwhelming relief via Jesus' compassion. This is a classic emotionally targeted conversion tactic. It is designed to bypass critical thinking and persuade vulnerable audiences. It is not objective evidence, it is a marketing strategy. But here is the fatal flaw in the entire argument. Christians are not the only ones who have near-death experiences. More importantly, non-Christian near-death experiences directly contradict Christian claims. Thousands of documented testimonies exist where dying Hindus report meeting Yaman, the god of death. Buddhists describe entering cycles of reincarnation, and Muslims encounter the angels of death. Each individual interrupts the exact same biological trauma in various different ways. So how do Christian apologists deal with this contradiction? They employ a blatant, absurd double standard. I recently had an online discussion that perfectly illustrates this hypocrisy. Take a look at the screenshots on your screen right now. This Christian claimed that Christianity is true because people have afterlife experiences where they saw the Christian heaven and Jesus. And then I asked him this question. I said, if you believe a book or an online testimony is absolute proof of truth just because the author claims to have visited the afterlife, let me ask you a practical question. There are thousands of documented testimonies from people who claim they died went to the astral plane, met ancient Hindu deities, or experienced Buddhist reincarnation cycles and came back convinced that Christianity is false. Do you believe all those non-Christian testimonies as well? I asked him a simple logical question. If testimonies prove a religion, do you accept the testimonies of non-Christians? Watch how this Christian responded. See his reply on the screen. He says, they went to the second heaven where Satan and his demons are giving them false visions and false spiritual experiences. So they are deceived and don't know what the truth is. You see that? Just notice the incredible mental gymnastics. When a Christian sees a vision, they claim it is absolute truth and the vision validates the religion. But when a Hindu, Buddhist or a Muslim has a vision, the Christian casually dismisses it as a demonic deception. How do they decide which is which? Simply because it contradicts their own preferred belief system. Think about how absurd this logic is. They use their visions to prove their religion, but then they use their religion to disprove everyone else's visions. It's like a politician who only accepts election results when their own party wins. If they win, they call it a great victory for democracy. But if the other party wins, they immediately say the election was rigged. That's exactly how Christians treat near-death experiences. When someone claims seeing Jesus, they say it proves Christianity is true. But when someone claims seeing Hindu gods or Buddhist reincarnation or Islamic angels, they dismiss it as Satan's trick. It's total dishonesty. You cannot use visions as evidence only when they favor your team. Ultimately, cases like Santosh Acharji's do not prove the truth of Christianity. Instead, they prove exactly how a human brain under extreme physical trauma creates vivid hallucinations, how human memory exaggerates those events over time, and how predatory religious groups manipulate those narratives for financial gain and conversion tactics. Don't be fooled by the theatrical staging of an ICU delusion. Look at the science, look at the logic, and question the double standards.